All right, so welcome to this is our second event on day two, and we have Joshua today. And I was just saying how much I've been looking forward to experiencing what Joshua does, and this is going to be a lot of fun. I can already tell we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So, Joshua, you know me, I don't ever read bios, so I'm going to pin you so that everybody can see you. And I do see that we have some other people coming through, but we'll just let you go ahead and just introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, thank you so much, Jules, and thank you everyone for coming. This is going to be really fun. I hope everyone has a pen and a piece of paper to record when we actually bilocate towards the end of the session. Yeah, so today I'm going to be doing a brief lesson on quantum bilocation, which, to just break down the words here, we've got quantum, which is just basically a field of sound, frequency, information. I get a lot of momentum as well with that word, speed. And the way this bilocation works, it's so fast, it's nanosecond fast. And we'll discuss that in a little bit as well. Bilocation, being in two places at once, is that your first thought? That's my first thought. So we can all do this, and it's so simple. And I feel like a lot of us do this. However, we don't actually identify what we're doing when we're doing it. We're just either identifying it as simply your imagination, or you're daydreaming, or you fell asleep, or you simply forget, and your conscious mind completely blocks it out, whatever came through. I've practiced this for about 2 years, and I've seen such incredible results, startling results, that I know that this actually works. We could also call it numerical bilocation, because today we're going to be storing the sound and the frequency in the numerical sequence here. So we're going to be using an 8-digit sequence, and this is just an example, just to show you guys. I'm going to give you the sequence a little later. So I've already used my consciousness to put in the location in these 8 numbers. And that's purely with the technology of an intention. And mind-blowingly, it works. How? I'm not quite sure how this all works. It's almost like we're just learning as we go, we're reverse engineering as we go, which I'm also going to get into. So yeah, we could also call it numerical bilocation. And the numbers, it doesn't really matter. It can be just a random sequence. It's the intention that's going into this sequence. So, yeah, I wanted to get into the question I asked in my bio was, we're multidimensional beings, which we all know about. And let's just explore that. Let's just go deeper into what does that actually mean? And when we're bilocating, where is this information coming from? What's actually happening here? So I have some really interesting information here from Switzerland. So about maybe 15 years ago, I think it was in 2005, 2007, a institute in Switzerland, they started to reverse engineer the human brain. And this is still ongoing, and it's going to be about completed, they say, in about 2025. They'll be finished reverse engineering the human brain. And what they've actually discovered is so mind-blowing that I had to talk about this, because it ties in with everything that we're discussing today with bilocation. How is this actually working? This quantum field, is this actually just a field of frequency and sound, or is this just our consciousness? Is this just our infinite consciousness that we always have access to? And the bilocation is more of a command line. If we were like a computer, it's like we're putting in the commands, and we're expressing our consciousness to this location. if that makes sense. So the project in Switzerland is called Project Blue Brain, and you can look this up. So they're making a simulation of the brain. They're going to be doing this through science and technology I'm not very familiar with, but let's see here. They're using algebraic topology to make these equations. They're studying the global properties of the spaces in our brain and then converting them to topological problems, which converts into algebraic problems. So they're basically kind of sequencing our entire brain into numbers, and that's some way of reverse engineering our brains. So they reconstructed the hidden, constantly changing structures and spaces of the brain's networks. And if you don't know this, your brain constantly is creating spaces. I didn't know that our brain is almost like morphing all the time, but it is. It's moving on this microscopic level and it's creating all these spaces and highways and lanes and connections. So they're studying that. And what they've discovered is basically the formation of multidimensional geometric structures and spaces in our brain. So most of our organs in our body work in 3 dimensions, but the brain has 3 dimensions plus the 1 time dimension. And then it also processes information they've discovered in different dimensions, generally from 7 up to 11 dimensions. Again, we're just at the precipice of this. And, as Jules says always, we are the technology. So we're basically in the process of remembering, who we are. Maybe we've always been this way, and this is just kind of a glitch to remember what we've forgotten as a way of expansion. So the team in Switzerland is totally blown away by their research, and I wrote this quote down, which is basically one of the quotes from one of the directors there. He said, "We've discovered a multiverse-like structures that are a world we never imagined." So I wanted to share that. These higher dimensional cavities are vital to processing information that are rapidly being expanded and retracted. They're rapidly creating space and then disappearing space in the brain. And one of the theories is that this could possibly lead into more science regarding memory and where they're storing our memories, or how our memories actually get stored. And they might be being stored in these higher dimensional spaces in our brains. So that's Project Blue Brain. Anyone can look that up. And then today, I'm going to be doing a slight attunement, so we can just do a little exercise, and then we're going to go into the actual bilocation with the pen and paper. So do you want to do the attunement now, or should we do the lesson first? I'm thinking.
Let's do the lesson and then let's do the attunement right before you do. Is the lesson the actual writing part?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so do the lesson and then we should do the attunement right before we bilocate.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so to teach you guys the basics of this bilocation technique that I've been practicing with the numerical sequence, I'm gonna basically give you a random sequence of numbers, and you're gonna write it down like such. You can see here. And then on the last, you don't have to do this, but on the last number, you can keep your pen and you can just kind of do a squiggly like this. But make sure it connects to that last number. And this is a way of kind of tricking your brain. This is a way of kind of creating a point of entanglement, which is basically a portal. We're going to be using this as a way to access the location. You don't have to do this. but you can also just touch the numbers themselves, because the information is in the numbers, and all you're doing is actually touching the numbers with your pen. You're making that point of contact, and that point of contact is basically allowing you to receive the information. Okay, so the numbers are basically the bridge for that contact. So I wrote this symbol here, and I thought this was a good way to explain how we're actually going to be working. So let's just say that you are this circle here, okay? You're this circle, and then you have a thought like this, and this is like normal thoughts, okay? All right, so we're not going to be working here today. If you look here, there's a little space in between the thought and you, and this is where we're actually going to be working. We're going to be working in the space of non-thought. This space typically is small in the beginning, but with practice, in my experience, you can expand this drastically, and then you can create a much greater space of non-thought before your thoughts, which are represented by these shorter lines here. This is kind of botched a little, but yeah. So we're going to be here today, and then as you practice, you can just expand further into a space of just a wider non-thought space, and you can get a little more familiar of being within the space of non-thought. In my experience, when I first started doing this, it's and you're going to see it today. It's challenging to just get your brain to stop identifying and to enter that space of non-thought. So that brings us back to the quantum, the speed at which this is all happening. You'll know as soon as you make contact. So the reason you're making contact is because it's allowing your brain to have that bridge of a nanosecond. Otherwise, if you don't make any contact, it's like, well, where's the non-thought space start and end, you know? So we're just basically using this as a bridge. So you just tap the number, and that will take you into a space of non-thought. And then any impressions that come to you, the bilocation works in very subtle, just ephemeral sensations in your body. So we're going to do it in 2 minutes beforehand so we can just all relax, and then we can go into the actual bilocation, because it's coming through the body in these very, very subtle ephemeral sensations, which can expand into greater sensations as you progress, because this is basically like any other muscle in our multidimensional self. You can just practice this exercise and you can get really, really good. You can get to the point where you don't need any of these numbers, you don't need any of these bridges. You can just purely travel from intention. So today, this is a great start though today. So when we're in the space of non-thought, I don't want you to edit yourself at all. You know, once you start editing, that means you're in thought. So, you know, learn to identify when those thoughts come in, when any sort of, because when the information comes in, you're going to start to be like, was that an elephant? Was that, you know, you're going to start to identify. You don't want to do that at all. You want to just write down anything you see. And you shouldn't actually write down an elephant if you see an elephant. It's actually pretty technical, and I'm trying to make this, you know, quick. But there's a system of concepts that you can write down instead. So these concepts are represented in symbols. So we have here kind of like this, which would represent a subject. So say, for instance, you see that elephant. I don't want you to actually identify an elephant with your brain. I want you to just identify subject. So you can, and these symbols, these concepts are just good ways to help the brain train itself to stop identifying. So I'll give you these basic ones here. So we have subject, and then we have basically a triangle, which will represent natural landform. You probably can't read that. Yeah, and then we have, we'll do this upside down, kind of backwards L, and this is going to represent artificial structure. So we have natural structure, organic, which is just a triangle, and then we have this, which is artificial. And then we have this symbol, which represents any sort of liquid that you perceive. And then we'll have this, which is like basically just a squiggly line going up, which would represent some sort of energy, any sort of energetics, elements, anything with could be wind, temperature, heat. That could also be identified as energetics. So does this make sense? Does anyone have any questions? Because I just said a lot.
I do. I just was wondering, what about a feeling? How would you represent a feeling?
That's a great question. I don't have a symbol down here for feeling, although I would just go ahead, because in my experience, I've always just identified feelings as they are. So if you feel good someplace, is that what you mean? Like, do you feel good, or do you mean feelings like temperature?
No, I think it's just, I don't know, feelings. Maybe I'll just make up a symbol in case that comes up.
Probably, Lisa, just go with energy, because I mean,
Okay.
it has, a frequency to it. So that's what I would I would relate it to energy over anything else.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, the symbols. And feel free to come up with your own symbols. This is open source technology, so we're all incorporating here, and that's also a really fun part about this. So yeah, this is basically what we're going to be doing today. So after the attunement, I will give you the sequence, and I'll do we can do maybe 7 or 8 minutes, and I will just pause. I'm not bilocating because I already know where we're going. So I'll give maybe like 7, 8 minutes, and everyone can just write down the sequence. We'll be in a meditative space, and then just simply tap the numbers and just allow any impressions to come through, and just write it down, and be as brief and non-identifying as possible. You can use the symbols, you don't have to. If it helps, then it helps. And then that's what we're going to do today. So that's my little rundown of bilocating.
Beautiful. Okay.
Oh,
So,
looks like Luann has a question.
okay, Luann, let's do questions before we go in for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Did I have my hand up?
Oh, no, I think she was talking Leanne there. Sorry.
Sorry, I meant Leanne. It came out wrong.
Getting mixed up. It's been happening since the beginning, Luann and I love it. It's a compliment. I'm just curious, Joshua, when was the first time you ever did this? And was it through intention? Was it just destiny? And if you could share a little bit about it, because I just find that fascinating.
Yeah, thank you. I've probably been doing this a lot longer. I think a lot of us have been doing this a lot longer. I technically have been practicing this, I'd say, for about 2 years, where I met someone who was also doing this and was in sort of a identity with what's happening here. Because I feel like a lot of times we're daydreaming and we're still bilocating. We're just not thinking in those terms. So about 2 years ago, I started practicing a lot more with someone else and seeing results that were just mind-blowing to me, thinking, wow, this is real. And, you know, how can we apply this in civilian life? Like, what can we actually do here? So that's something exciting to bring to the group today, because I want everyone to be open in their application of like, where can we go with this as a group, using intentions, using this technology that we are to create new frequencies, or to remember older frequencies that will benefit us in this now moment. Did that answer?
Yeah, it did answer. I was just wondering if there was one specific place that you went to consciously where that just stuck in your mind that you'll never forget because it was just epic.
Yes, I went to a place, and I was right there too. And my friend told me where it was after the fact, and it ended up being a sighting, a UFO sighting in Australia that my friend had filmed, or no, my friend's friend filmed in Australia. And it was this like rainbow-like structure that was vibrating in the sky. And so that's where we bilocated, and I had no idea. So I was sensing like this like intense energy that was this intense globular. I remember I used the word globular because it felt like it was undulating. It was like doing this, and I felt the colors. And then I'll always remember, because I started talking to them. So, you know, there's so many layers to this, and you can actually make contact with, you know, there's other beings out there, more, let's just say more advanced consciousness that's out there. They'll actually be able to see you if you run into them. And that's a whole other category. But these people actually spoke to me, and they said really positive affirmations to me. They were talking about love, and they said we are one as well. I remember hearing this distinctly in my head, thinking, oh, where did that come from? And then my friend showed me the clip of this rainbow-like light in the sky, and I couldn't believe that that's where I actually went. So thank you for that question, because you just,
Yeah, beautiful. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
You allowed that to come through, and that was such a beautiful experience that I'll always remember. And to who those beings were, or to what that light was, again, it takes me back to the Blue Brain Project, and this different dimensional space that you know, we're just tapping into. Because my friend's friend in Australia, he's familiar with these lights because they follow him, these rainbow lights. And he's saying that these structures are much bigger on the inside than on the outside. So they look like a little light in the sky to us, but if we were to actually go up there, it would be like a huge place inside, if that makes sense. And they confirmed that in Blue Brain Project, whereas these dimensional spaces are much bigger on the inside as you go up they don't use the word frequency, but we'll just say as you go up in frequency. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Thank you, Leanne. Let's see, Elisa, did you have another question, or is your hand up from the last time?
I was just curious, if you could pick a place, like say you wanted to go to a sacred site, how do you sequence that, or or is that even not the point? I don't know.
No, that's a great question. Yeah, so I want to do this sometimes when I'm just, you know, by myself, but it's really in this capacity, it's not something you can do by yourself, because you have to have someone sequence for you, because otherwise your conscious mind is going to get too involved if you already know the location. So the person who's picking the location doesn't typically bilocate, because the conscious mind will just interrupt that space. But yeah, I mean, I've gone to my friend also took me to a sacred site in Peru, and this technique actually transcends time and space. We know time is just another facet of these dimensions. So we're actually able to transcend that. And he took me to an ancient site that was being built at the time of it being built in Peru. So, you know, it's just amazing what you can do with this as you refine it over time, and like where we could go, especially as a group, because of the amplification of consciousness. So thank you for that, Lisa.
Let's see, we'll go with Susan. I know you've had your hand up for a while here.
I have a question. The numbers. So you say you don't bilocate. You've selected the 8 sequence numbers, or you will select them. I don't know if it's a random thing or you have an intention. But then we, as the participant, do we write down our thought per number? Or is it just maybe some numbers speak to us and some do not?
So thank you, Susan. I have the location here, which I'll reveal at the end of our session, so you can see where we actually went. So you'll write down the full eight-digit number when I give it to you. And it doesn't matter where you actually focus your pen on which number, the sequence acts as a whole. So each number will have the same frequency in this case. And then of course, if you make that entanglement at the end, if that's easier for you as well, you can also just keep pushing your pen on this little portal here. Does that answer you, Susan?
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. And the individual who selects the numbers, then they get to pre-select the place, and we are just the lucky ones who get to go along for the ride.
Yeah, no, you are. I wish I could go with you guys. It's gonna be a cool place. But I'm excited to hear how you all travel and just what comes through. And also I just want to say that there's no judgment here. There's no judgment here, you know, and I always think of that scene in The Matrix where Morpheus is trying to free the mind of Neo, and he's getting him to free his mind by having him jump from one skyscraper to the other skyscraper. And he falls, he doesn't make it. And that's exactly what happened to me with this sort of technique. I was not getting accurate information at the beginning. So I don't want anyone to worry about that. It's not, you know, it takes practice, like anything, it just takes practice. But I guarantee you with practice, this really does work and it's quite accurate.
So cool. Okay, let's keep going. We'll do these last 4 questions and then we should probably move on. So Luann, I don't know if you whoever just raised their hand, I'm gonna have you take it down, and if we have time at the end, we'll answer. So we'll go with Ashara really quick.
Yeah, one of my questions you already answered was Lisa's question, but I also have another question about this. So sometimes in some of the practices and meditations I do, I actually call for the presence of certain beings, like whether they're angels or, you know, masters or whatever. And I can go to that dimension in the quantum and feel their presence. Is that by location, or how would you apply what you're doing to that?
I definitely would say that's by location, because you're their frequency, using your intention, using your command. If you're saying, I want to make contact with such and such, that is your free will. That is your consciousness making that intention. And that is a declaration. That is a declaration, and that is powerful. So you're going to get a response. You're going to get a feedback from the universe. So I definitely think that, you know, like I said, I think we're all bilocating in many subtle ways. So I definitely think you're doing that, Ashara.
Thanks, Joshua.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Daphna.
I just wanted to ask if you connected with something that I've had experience of, just because somebody raised the question of sacred sites, and I've had in meditations, I definitely had the experience of being in a pyramid. I felt the stone like that, it was very visceral, and that happened to me twice when very close friends were in the pyramids at the same time. I've also had an experience in meditation where both me and another in thousands apart went to the same, held circles in different places and went to the same location of grids within the earth. And so my question is, because you said that there has to be sequencing both sides, is held intention by both sides, would that be sufficient? Is there something that you know about it?
It's a great question, Daphna. Thank you. My first thought I had when you were speaking of that was the people that you were connected with in the pyramids. They clearly have some sort of entanglement with you. You said they were people you knew. They were friends or family.
Yes, friends.
Yeah, I think there was just some sort of entanglement going on there, whether it's just unconscious or whether it was conscious, and they were actually thinking of you while they were in the pyramids and attempting to make contact with you, or just, you know, getting a memory of you while they were passing through the pyramids and you were picking up on that frequency. As to your question, I mean, I'm not sure. I think it's possible. Absolutely. I think anything is possible with this. This is such an exciting field to play in. You know, it's and I would love to bilocate with the group. So, you know, you said dual intention, right? Dual intention, and can you do that? You mean like two different intentions?
Or
Like two different-
intention to meet, intention to be in the same place. So one of my friends that was in the pyramid actually said, I'm going to take you with me. And you know, she said it lightly, but we are very connected. So that's why it quite surprised me, the experience, because it was very visceral. And I was just wondering how much you know about it. But yeah, it makes me excited. I'm going to play more.
Please play more. It's amazing, because we can absolutely do that, Daphna. We can absolutely meet someone wherever. You know, we can have that meeting in the you know, astral is kind of the first word that comes to me, but again, we can reimagine all these terms because we're moving into the next anyways. So you can definitely meet someone, like say you both want to have a meeting in the pyramid, and then you just meet there and become more and more conscious of that interaction. It doesn't have to be so ephemeral. It can become more and more tangible, I'd say, with practice, because this is just exercising all of your clairs, you know, really, and pulling in information from different spaces in your brain. And yeah, definitely keep practicing, Daphna. And I think we should all, as a group in the future, maybe try to meet up somewhere after hours.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daphna. And then how do you, is it Rajay? Did I totally make that wrong? How do you say it?
Hi, I just go by Raj.
Okay, Raj, perfect. Go ahead, honey.
Just one quick clarifying question. So you mentioned that, Josh, that we have to make sure that we are in the space of non-thought while doing this exercise. So and somebody else mentioned that consciously, if they're trying to be at a certain place during this bilocation, so what should be our intention be while we are practicing this? Should we try to remain in that space of non-thought and just let's see what comes up with the sequence that is given to us?
Yes, thank you, Raj. That's an excellent question. And I would agree with you. It's just about practicing and expanding that space of non-thought, because we're so entrained to be in our thoughts constantly throughout our day as we're interacting with tangible matter. We're constantly in this loop, and we can simply reimagine that. And, you know, this symbol is what came through to reimagine that. So, you know, we could draw this in any other way as well to keep expanding that space of non-thought. It might be small in the beginning, but it can keep expanding. Once we expand as a group together, that amplifies. I mean, it's totally up for anything. Anything is possible with this. So yes, you want to be expanding the space of non-thought, because your conscious mind, you want it as little as possible. I mean, you're harmonizing both hemispheres of your brain while you're doing this, because you're picking up on these ephemeral somatic sensations in your body while at the same time trying to write them down, which is two different processes in the brain. So in a way, you're almost reaching a state of balance with your brain hemispheres, which is also a great just exercise in general. But does that answer your question?
It does. So why, when you give us the sequence of numbers today, and then when we are practicing this bilocation exercise, we have to, so what should be my state of like, I'm trying to understand, like, I have to make sure that no, so if any thoughts come to my mind, I have to negate them. I have to like try to make sure that I'm not being impacted by my surroundings around or thoughts that are coming. Like, how do I attain that state of non-thought?
Yeah, we're basically attaining it just for now using the bridge of the numbers. So the numbers gives you a point of contact. That point of contact is a space. It's an inception point. And that inception point is simply in this intention, a space of non-thought. So when you make contact with your pen to the number, you're going to get an instant sensation. You might not even realize it, but just try to get as quiet mentally as possible and notice anything that comes to you on that 1 nanosecond where you touch the number, anything. And it's going to be random. You're not going to expect what's coming through, but it happens at the nanosecond. It's extremely fast. So that's why I call it that space of non-thought, because it's always coming before any thoughts. As soon as you start thinking about it, you don't want to write that down.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Raj.
All right, so Joshua, let's have you go ahead. I'm going to make you big again, and we'll have you do the attunement, and then you'll just guide. I'm just going to let you guide us all. I'll put myself on mute. And
So I hope everyone knows what we're doing for the exercise. And if anyone has any questions, just again, feel free. I'm happy to answer anything. Okay, so we'll do the attunement now. So everyone just relax. Just get into your breath. And I want you to go back to a point in time when you were a child. And I want you to go to a memory of intense joy and intense bliss. Anything, any day that was really special that sticks out to you, that was just so joyful and so blissful. And see yourself as the little you right now, in that state of joy, in that state of bliss. Notice any sensations that are coming into the body. Look at your surroundings. Were you outside? Were you inside? Were you with people? Were you by yourself? Let this memory just expand. See any details around you. You don't have to get too close to yourself. You can just observe yourself in a state of joy, in a state of bliss. You just want to be able to feel that frequency coming back into the body. The body remembers this moment in time, and you can bring this frequency back into the now moment. And as you start getting more comfortable, seeing yourself on that special day that was so happy, so blissful for you, I want you to now move forward into your future self and see that day of bliss happen, where you just completely let go and you were free. Your dreams have come true. Allow yourself to feel that frequency from the past memory to the future self. What does that look like? What would it actually feel like in your body for your future self to be in that special day where your dreams come true? Anything. It can be small, it can be big. And tune into that state of bliss. Tune into that state of joy that it brings to the surface. Because in actuality, that's all you are. You already are that frequency. Pay attention to any details around you in that future self. What do you see? Do you hear anything? Do you see people around you? Do you see pets? Are you outside? Are you inside? Do you feel any of the elements around you? Really tune in and let your body sense that future self of bliss. When you're ready, you can come back. And you can open your eyes when you're ready. So this was a simple attunement to reach that frequency that you might think you want your dreams to come true, but really, what are your dreams actually achieving? They're just allowing space for that frequency to return to you that you already are, you might have forgotten. So that was a simple bilocation exercise using memory and then using intention to travel forward in time. And planting that seed of frequency. And I'm so honored to be here with the group today to be with all of you as we create such amplification of this frequency of bliss and joy, and how that looks for all of us individually is unique to us. And that's what makes us special, you could say. It's great. So I hope everyone got something out of that. Does anyone have any questions before we begin, or should we just go ahead, Jules? Do you think?
Let's just have everyone kind of stay in this frequency and just move right into the exercise.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to give you the sequence of numbers, and just write it down. And I will take about seven minutes, say, and just allow any impressions to come through that space of non-thought and just write it down. Don't identify, don't edit yourself. So the first number is 1, 3, 6, 8, 9, 3, 2, 2. So just bridge those numbers for the next 7 minutes and I'll come back. I'll write the code as well in the chat. Okay, we'll start coming back now. If anybody would like to share before I reveal where we actually went, I would love to hear what anyone came up with. Please don't be shy. There's no judgment. There's no right, wrong.
Leanne, go ahead. Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. I just wasn't sure. I didn't want to overstep the wind. I may have fallen like Neo, but I got Australian Opera House, and I got blue sky and beach and a koala.
Wow. That's awesome, Luann. Thank you so much for sharing.
Luann, did you want to share?
Yeah. I got blue sky clouds. I went through a tunnel and found myself in Hawaii, and I saw a kahuna. And then I felt plant energy, and I was being downloaded with frequency from plant energies.
Wow. That's amazing, Luann. I love it. What an experience.
Yeah. So I
So-
don't know if I went or not, but the plants felt real.
You went somewhere. You definitely went. You're going somewhere here. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Luann. Serena?
Well, mine, I was able to just stay in swirling energy almost the whole time, and beautiful, beautiful color, especially oranges and pinks. Just a lot of light and but it was mostly energy. And then all of a sudden I was in a friend's kitchen in Santa Rosa or in San Francisco that I only went there once, and it was like 10 years ago. And I don't know, poof. And then I went back to the energy again. But of all the things where I might visit, Julie's kitchen, I thought, what a roar. But
Yeah.
the color was phenomenal. I just that was really, it was just really a blissful ride.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, you're pretty close there, Serena, I have to say. Minus the kitchen part. The kitchen is it's awesome. Maybe some friends thinking of you. Thank you for sharing.
Beautiful. Thank you, Serena. Erin?
Yeah, I felt, first of all, my body felt very much like a swirling sensation as well. Almost very windy, like the wind. And I kind of felt very close to the ocean, like I saw a seagull, like flying across. And I also got shown the symbol of Pisces as well. So that's what I got.
Interesting. Yeah, you're very close too, Erin. Very close. Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Let's go with Kathy. I think you've had your hand up for a while.
I felt the beach, sand. It was warm, blue water. It was white sand, and there was sunshine, and the sun was really bright. And I got one more thing. I saw the French Riviera. It was the beautiful, pristine beach. And it was remote.
Wow. Can you take me there, Kathy? That sounds great. We just got 10 inches of snow here. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Kathy.
Let's see. Let's go with Raj.
So I was in a very light state of being, and I was surrounded by forest trees in the mountains. Sky was there, water was flowing. Yeah, very simple setting and very peaceful. I didn't want to come back.
Well, who doesn't love peaceful mountains? You do have, you're close as well, Raj. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Let's see, let's go with Shirley and then Daphne and then Ashara. And then we probably should let you reveal because it's already 2 o'clock or we're at the hour.
So mine started with scent. I smelled flowers. And then as I allowed like it to expand, they were pink flowers, lots of green, blue skies with little white clouds. But I could feel the plants. That's what was so beautiful. It was just, like I was saying yesterday, the sparkles, it was like everything was very sparkly as far as what I felt. It was beautiful. No, I didn't want to come back either. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. That sounds so beautiful. It's amazing how we're all traveling to these places. You know, it still blows my mind, you know, where this is coming from. But thank you so much for sharing that. I love that. Explore that more. That sounds so interesting with the plants.
Mhm. Thank you. Let's see, let's go with Daphne and then Ashara, and then we'll let Joshua reveal.
Okay, so I went ocean and circles was a lot going on. Then I went and was right on the top of Machu Picchu. And then it went to a temple in Kauai. And then I burst into a sunflower. So I was in the sunflower bursting from the center of it. And kept bursting from the center of sunflower. So that was an interesting experience.
Oh my gosh, Daphne, that sounds like massive expansion just happened. Massive. That is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Daphne. Ashara?
Yeah, I started off with the first thing was that came to me was house. It was like a structure. And then there was this energy of it was like a cat energy that came in. And then then it moved into a whole bunch of energetic sensations, like there was love, happiness, and then something about the beyond. And then there was heaviness and soaring at the same time. And then at the end that there was joy. And it all kind of came down in a kind of swirling energy. And when it landed, it was what came to me was temple.
Wow. This is incredible. This group is just amazing. I knew this was going to be great with you guys. That was amazing, Ashara. Wow.
Thank you, Ashara. All right, Joshua, the big reveal.
Okay, so to reveal, the elements were definitely swirling elements. It was a storm scene. So there was a lot of winds, there was a lot of stormy weather, and just energetics is what you would probably pick up on. It's just some sort of momentum, some sort of motion. And the time of day was dusk. So it would have been a purpley, reddish possible light that you might have seen with the wind. And, you know, I'm thinking of Serena because she really picked up that swirling energy, the dusk light. And then the location was this. So it was the Himalayan mountains.
Ooh, beautiful.
And this picture is clear, but I also added the storm and the dusk. So to get a little more elements into the location. So it was this just at dusk with some storm, windiness, and yeah, a lot of snow. I'm thinking of Kathy picking up the white beaches, you know, which is very much what this is. You know, it's snow, but it's you know, it's just white. All the white. It looks like a white beach almost.
Wow.
I love it. How fun is this? This was so cool. Thank you, Joshua. We're going to have you do this again. I know you are scheduled to do it again, but like actually keep doing it because this was so fun. And it's just such a fun way to tap into those, intuitive patterns, and like also holding space, and then being able, I don't know if I did it right, but actually when I was touching the numbers, I purposely left my eyes, would shut my eyes for a second, but I left them open so that I was able to write out the symbols. I don't know if I was doing that wrong, but then I looked at everybody else and they're all like in their own little land.
No, you can keep your eyes open. I definitely know people that are fully conscious. They don't use the numbers. They actually use their body. So there's more advanced techniques where you can actually get into your body and you can literally sense everything through the body, and it's just another language. It's just another translation. But I'm so happy to do this again with the group. I absolutely love this. Thank you so much for everyone coming. This was fun. I loved it.
Well, we love you, Joshua, and thank you so much for this. And gosh, beyond words, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for being a part of it and feeling open to sharing as well. That just shows how vulnerable you can be in this space. And I love it.
Yeah, thank you everyone for sharing so much. I love how interactive this group was. It was great.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we'll see you all in a couple hours again. Thank you, Joshua. And we'll see, I can't remember. Oh, Maya's next. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, thanks, Joshua.
Thank you.
Oh, that was